Hi guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia, I'm coming to you from the UK, and today is Saturday the 1st of November 2025. I took a break from recording because I came down with some horrible allergy last week, so there was no podcasting on the horizon, but we are back. We are back on a weekend, and my son is playing next door because he is refusing to go outside without me. So we'll just deal with it, but we'll talk about all the finished objects that I have this week. The elephant in the room, of course, is this, which is my iris sweater. This is a pattern by Trin Annelie. I used the original kit, which is from Holst Garn, which I ordered directly from Holst in Denmark. I've talked about this many times in the past few weeks. I started this at the end of August. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how quickly it came together, considering it is a all-over colorwork 28.5 stitch gauge garment. So here it is. As you can tell, I knitted the second size. I was sort of in between sizes, and I decided to go for the sort of more oversized second size. I made mine shorter, which I can't show you right now. I just don't have the setup for it, but take my word for it, and I will post some photos on Instagram sooner or later. In terms of modifications, I made the neckband tighter because the original one is very sort of open, and this is still quite open. In hindsight, I could have even made it more snug. And I did put all of my modifications in terms of how many stitches I used and so on my Ravelry, so you can always look at that if you can use Ravelry. Like I said, I made it shorter, so I only did 3 flower motifs and then a relatively long rib, because the 4th flower motif would have been too long. And there's no sort of happy medium with these really long charts. So I did a long rib at the bottom. Also very important, if you're planning to knit this, do split splice your color changes, because otherwise you will have a million ends. It doesn't matter where you put the steeks in, so the armholes and the neckband, there is a steek, which that sort of eats up the ends anyways, but after that I did split splicing for all of my color changes. And yes, it is a little bit annoying, but you would die from the amount of ends you would otherwise have. I feel like even just like with the steeks and all the different bits and pieces, I had quite a few ends to weave in without having to weave in the actual color change ends. Yeah, it is beautiful. I love it. I honestly have been terrified to wear it. I don't want to mess this up, but I think I'm just going to wear it today and keep it on, because it is meant to be worn, right? It just feels like such a labor of love, and it is light, and I am a little bit worried about it, but we'll just push through. So that is sweater number 1 that I finished. The second one is this one, which is my Anchors sweater, which looks tiny, but trust me, it does fit me. My neighbor is walking by. So this is my, I don't know, 5th anchor or something that I've made. I've made this pattern many times. I'm endlessly trying to recreate my first one, which I knit out of the same yarn, which is JC Rennie Super Soft, which I knit from cones. So I just get a cone of the color I like, and this whole sweater, which has a weird bump here, I think that's where I hung it up, which is awkward. This whole sweater only weighs 175 grams of yarn, which is crazy if you think about it. So from a 500 gram cone, which I think is like 25 pounds, imagine all the garments you can get out of that. Yeah, so I finished it. This one somehow, even though I use the same yarn, same needle, same gauge, I don't know, probably my gauge changed slightly, or maybe my other one just sort of grew over time, I'm not sure. This one is slightly more fitted than I would like it to be, but it is still absolutely beautiful. I won't put it on today, I'll show it to you next time, but I love it, and I'm also glad it is done, because it is a fingering weight yarn, so it does take a while to knit up. As you can see, I put some bright red contrast in the back to show where the back is. Clearly I need to trim it, but it'll do nicely in terms of me knowing which way to put it on, because I did put in short rows. I think this pattern needs short rows, so I put in some short rows. I'm not sure, sometimes I work from old iterations of patterns, and I think in some of Petite Knit's patterns she has added short rows later. I think she did for the Sunday sweater. I'm not sure if she has for this one, I have no idea. But it is done, I love it, and this again will be very, very useful because it's a light sweater, but it'll still be very warm, and we all know how much I love JC Rennie. So that is finished garment number 2. Finished garment number 3 is my son's sweater. So I call this his teddy sweater. It's not actually the official teddy sweater by Petite Knit. It is just a top-down sort of made-up raglan that I figured out as I went using this very, very fluffy boucle yarn. This is Drops Alpaca Boucle. I talked about my feelings about this yarn last episode. I didn't love knitting with it. I probably wouldn't do it again. I have tons of this left over, so I think I might try holding this with different yarns to see if then I like it, because I would like a really big fluffy boucle sweater. I just hated working with the yarn. And as you can tell, I used some grey sock yarn held double. I used Filcolana Awetta for the neckband, cuffs and the bottom. And it's done. It's really cute. So now my son, now that I've shown it to you, he can finally wear it. I think it'll be really nice and toasty. I will admit I did not put short rows in this one because he's 5, he still puts his things the wrong way around all the time. And honestly, I think for a 5-year-old, the neckline isn't super critical. He can just put it on whichever way he likes. So yeah, that is his little sweater done as well. And then lastly, I have a very, very tiny finished object, which I've already lost. Have I lost it? Where did it go? Here it is. We were up in York for the last couple of days for a half term, and it was lovely. We went to York a bit over a year ago and fell in love with it, and I still absolutely love it. If I could move there and work from there, I mean, I would do that in a heartbeat. I love it so much. And there is my Amazon delivery man, so excuse me while I deal with that. Right, we now have a 5-year-old audience, so we'll see how this goes. But I was talking about York, and last time we went there already, we loved it, and we went to Søstrene, which is this beautiful shop, and it does have yarn. So I wasn't really planning on buying any yarn. I went to a couple of yarn stores, or stores that had yarn among other things. I didn't really buy anything, but I have used quite a bit of Søstrene's cotton, which I think is quite nice. And they had little minis, so they had like a 4-pack of 4 10-gram balls of cotton. So I picked that up because I thought it was really, really cute. Didn't really know what to do with it. I just felt like crochet, so I made this little granny square yesterday. I have loads of the middle 3 colors left over. I used all of the red, the burgundy red, to make this little, what probably will be like a face cloth for my bathroom. And yeah, it's just really cute. It was super quick to make, and there we are. It's just a strand of cotton, 3.5mm hook, and a granny square. So this is a tiny little make that I made yesterday. In other news, you may remember the yarn that I reclaimed. This was my first yarn that I ever reclaimed from a commercial sweater from eBay. This was from a Wool Lovers sweater. And this one was probably a good beginner yarn to unravel because it's not too fine. It worked pretty well. It gave me some experience. So I thought I would knit this up into a beautiful sort of long turtleneck oversized sweater. So that's what I've started. I also have just sat on my needle, which is really, really sad because these are my favorite needle tips, but this one is sadly broken. But more to the point, I decided to knit my first ever, my favorite knitwear, my favorite knitwear, right? Oh my God, I can't even think right now. You're all screaming at the screen. I bought their sweater number 9 light, my favorite things knitwear, right? So I started this, and honestly, I am just struggling with the yarn. It is beautiful. I am still in my red phase, but I think this yarn, while it feels very woolly, it's definitely like a proper woolly yarn. It's not, I don't want to say it's scratchy, but it's not your merino. It's not like super, super soft. It is 100% wool, but I reckon they treated this with something. It doesn't feel like your typical superwash, but there is something on this that makes this really unpleasant for me to knit. So I just kept on persevering, and then while we were away, I was lying awake at night for various reasons. And then I was like, why am I knitting on this? I don't actually enjoy the process of this at all. And the fact that I just snapped my needle, I'm not sure if that is the universe telling me something, but I think this is gonna go into a Ziploc bag and I will come back to it one day if I want to, or I might not. I don't know. I feel like I should be knitting with the yarn because I spent all this time unraveling it. I spent about 10 quid maybe on the actual sweater. So, I mean, it's not a massive financial investment, but I don't want to waste it, but I'm not enjoying it. So I'm not sure what's happening with this. Do let me know your thoughts. But yeah, I don't know, I'm even struggling to get like consistent fabric, which is really rare for me. I usually can knit quite consistently, but it's all wrong and I keep steaming it, and steaming does improve it a little bit, but it's just not right. So yeah, I don't know what's happening with this. I will keep you updated. In other news, I have picked up my Olga sweater again. Sorry, I'm trying to be quick. This is another petite knit sweater. Apologies for that. The reason is that my other Olga sweater, which I knit out of Rauwerk yarn, I have been wearing that thing to death. It is so lovely. So I decided to pick this one up again because it's just the perfect sort of sweatshirty sweater, and this is knit out of Drops cotton merino, so it's a very different feel. And what I did is I picked up the neckband, so I've done the neckband and I've done about maybe 4 inches on the bottom, so I still have a fair way to go, but at least I am working on it again, which is great because I think this will be so fun. When I tried it on, I got really, really excited about it. So this is the yarn that I'm using, Drops Cotton Merino, and that is a project that I'm finally working on again. As for other projects, very, very quickly, I have also picked up my first Osaka scarf, which, if you remember, I was sort of knitting on 2 Osaka scarves at a time, and I finished my second one just to make it really confusing to talk about on the podcast. But this is my first one. I took this to York. I knit a fair bit of this sort of salmon, is it salmon? Is it coral color? It is very scrunched up, but I am making progress on that, which is great. I also have been working on my Halloween socks, which this is Fab Funky Fibers in the delightful Nightmare colorway. I am, per usual, only using a 50-gram skein of self-striping to make these socks, so I am using contrast colors for heels, cuffs and toes. And I finished the first sock on the train, and then I have started the second one. So I am, I think, 1 purple block from starting the heel on that one. And I thought they would be matching, but funnily enough, there are 2 different stripe sequences, so they don't technically match. But I actually think they are really cool together because the like big blocks of color will line up. And yeah, I think they are just so cool. They're very, very bright, obviously, but I think they're very fun as well. And lastly, I have started a new little project out of some yarn that I bought when I was in Germany over summer. So this was my first time buying La Mana Como, which is 100% merino wool. This is really lovely. And I love this color. I love this color so much. This is colorway number 15. I was tempted to make a sweater out of it, but it's a really pricey yarn. You only buy it in 25 grams balls. And this is really soft. I think it wouldn't hold up very well at all. Hang on. So in order to not break the budget and actually just, use this for something appropriate, I bought 2 balls, so 50 grams all together in this color and 50 grams in one of their sort of darker burgundy tweed colors to make hats. And this is where we are. I am making a 2x2 hat. I just cast on a couple of stitches. It was too big. I just tried on and then unravel if it's too big. So I think I settled on 104 stitches on 3mm needles, and I am making a 2x2 ribbed hat, which I think will be beautiful. And I'm just obsessed with this color. Right, we have an agreement that I will only be disturbed if there is a fire. Yeah, very straightforward hat. Obviously it takes a while, fingering weight, 2x2 rib, but I think this will be so wearable when it's done. I haven't decided yet if I do want to fold it. I mean, if I don't want to fold it, I'm almost ready for decreases. But if I do want a sort of folded brim, obviously I have quite a way to go, but I think it may be worth it. And I am just finishing up my first 25 gram ball, so I technically have enough yarn to make it a folded brim hat. So again, give me your opinions. But yeah, this has been really, really enjoyable to knit. It's lovely yarn. It is absolutely beautiful, but I can tell even while knitting it that it's starting to get a slight halo. So I just think by itself for a garment, for me, it wouldn't really work. But it is stunning, stunning yarn. It feels a bit like cashmere. So I keep checking the label, but there is no cashmere in it. It's just a very soft merino. Right, that is all the knitting that I've been wanting to show you. I did, however, buy another. I bought another 5 quid sweater off eBay to reclaim the yarn. And I think I have hit the yarn jackpot now. Now I know what I want and what I like and what I need to unravel a sweater and get the most of it. So this was a men's Marks & Spencer 100% wool non-superwash sweater. This is actually 100% Shetland wool, which is beautiful. I'm not sure if you can see, it's this sort of olive khaki, more like olive color, but it's like there's different variations of color in it. It is absolutely stunning. I would say it's a light fingering weight. Like, it sort of reminds me of JC Rennie and the like, which is probably because it is very similar to that. I think it is very similarly spun and made. And I got about, I think, 320 grams of this very fine yarn out of the men's sweater. I only had to disregard a little bit because the sweater had what do you call them, elbow patches, and those were just sewn on and you couldn't salvage the yarn, so I missed a little bit of yarn out of that, but otherwise it unraveled really well. I think this is exactly the sort of yarn that I'll sort of reclaim from sweaters in the future. For this, it is really worth it. It's beautiful yarn, it is non-superwash, and this will be an amazing sweater. I'm almost tempted to make another anchor sweater because how many anchors can I need? Many, so many of them. So I have 4 cakes. This was a little bit of a pain to knit, to wind, because it is a very fine yarn that does snap quite easily. But I am in love with the end result. This will be beautiful. So yeah, that is definitely a reclaiming yarn success. Whereas the other one, I don't know. I love the color, but even just feeling it, it doesn't feel right. So I don't know. Right, I've done so many stops and starts. I don't even know where I am anymore, and I also don't know how to piece this together. So I'll try to wrap it up in very, very brief non-knitting news. You may remember that we had a piece of our wall fall down in our conservatory because of damp and all sorts of issues, and then we had roofers and we had plasterers. It was this whole mess, and when everything was finally done, our brand new beautiful plaster was wet again. So clearly the leak hadn't been fixed, so we had to get the roofers back, who then found a hole, which is great. So probably they have fixed it now, but they probably could have fixed it without us spending like, I don't know, so much money on all this roofing that, I mean, needed to be done anyways, but probably wasn't the cause of our leak in the first place. But now it's all drying out. It's very annoying because we just, we got the paints, we're ready to paint and put up the lamps again, and it is taking a while to dry out. But the good news is that we had a lot of rain yesterday and it hasn't gotten worse. So hopefully it is actually drying out. It'll just take some time, and hopefully the new plaster will survive it, which is very, very important for my sanity. But yeah, so we've been thrown some house challenges. Our coffee table fell down, literally just fell apart. And then when we got home from our trip, we had a mold stain on our very, very cheap, luckily, very cheap rug, because there was a carved pumpkin lantern that we didn't put away, and we thought it would be okay, and it wasn't. So funnily enough, we had been talking about replacing that rug because it was literally, when we moved in, we just didn't have the energy to figure out what rug, what size, what we liked. So we just got the cheapest rug we could from IKEA for like 10 quid. So we did think about replacing it, but it's all sort of happened rather suddenly now. But yeah, it's keeping us on our toes. And then next weekend we have a friend of Kai's, my husband's, coming here, who loves to build things and make things and fix things. So we have all these house projects lined up, and we'll see how that goes. So that might mean there is no podcast next week, but maybe there is. We will just sort of see how it goes. I apologize for the pieced together podcast with proper real life background noises going on, because it is real life. My life is very much not edited, and so be it. I hope you still enjoyed it. I just wanted to catch you up with all the garments and things that I've made, because once there's been too big of a break between podcasts, I just get overwhelmed. There's just too much to talk about. But I shall wrap this up now. I hope that wherever you are in the world that you are well. Do let me know what you are knitting on. I love to hear it and be inspired. I hope you are safe, you have some yarn to play with, and I shall talk to you soon. Thank you for watching. Happy knitting. Bye!